Welcome! In this video we will instruct you how to enter your time worked through web time entry. Initially you may be provided with a direct hyperlink to log into Employee Self-Service. Eventually we will have the Employee Self-Service located in a convenient location for all workers. Let's get started by entering into Employee Self-Service. Now that we're in the Employee Self-Service, we're focusing in on just the section where you're going to enter into your web time entry. We can get there by selecting Enter Time or Timesheet. Now that we're in the timesheet selection, let's go over a few items. If you have more than one job on campus, each job will be listed out. In addition, if you have special funding related to a specific job, in which case you might have multiple jobs listed. Over to the right, for each job, you will show the pay period and status for each available timesheet that you have to work in. So for example, on this timesheet, there's a couple of different statuses listed. I have a completed timesheet, I have one that's pending, and two that are in progress. Generally speaking, you will only have access to the current time frame, the time period in which to report your hours worked. So we'll get started. We're going to enter in time for our work study position, and I'll click on the timesheet. I've already started entering time for this pay period. The pay period is from July 11th through August 10th, and I see that it's due. I have to submit my timesheet no later than August 14th at 11:59 p.m. It's helpful to refer to this information each time you come in to record your hours, especially if you have more than one job. We will also be providing an at-a-glance of all of the payroll due dates for your timesheets through the fall term. So, to get started, we need to locate the day that we worked, and we can enter our hours. So we're going to enter time worked on Tuesday, July 17th. So I'm going to click on Enter Hours. And here I see I have an option to record. Time in reflects what time did you start your shift. So for my example, I started my shift at 8:15 a.m. and I worked until 12:30 p.m. Click the drop down arrow to select the PM option. I can save my changes, and it updates my hours worked. So I see I have a total of 4.25 hours. You'll notice at the top that we want to enter our time in terms of increments of 15 minutes. So if you start your shift somewhere in between 10 a.m. and 10:15, depending on your arrival time, you need to choose the closest time to your arrival time. So that was all that I worked from 8:15 to 12:30 on Tuesday, July 17th. So I will go back to the timesheet, and I can advance to the next week by selecting Next. So the timesheet shows you 7 days at a time, regardless of what day of the week it falls on. It actually corresponds with the first day of the time period, the pay period. So now we're looking at Wednesday, July 18th through Tuesday, July 24th. So we can continue to come in each day that we work. The best practice is to enter the time at the end of your shift so that it's fresh in your memory and it's recorded that day, and it saves your changes as you go along. In the event that you are ill, there's two options to report your time. First, you need to check under your Employee Self-Service dashboard, verify whether and how much AB 1522 sick leave you have available. Provided that you have time available and you were scheduled to work, but you were unable to either complete your shift or you weren't able to make it in at all, you can report sick leave, similar to how you did it on the paper timesheets. So verify your balance, go back and verify what your regularly scheduled shift was on the day that you were ill. So let's go over first. If you started your shift, but you ended up going home sick and you were not able to complete your shift, let's see how that works. So we'll enter first the time that you worked. So we'll record the time that we started. So let's say we started our shift at 9 a.m. and we weren't feeling well. We got approval to go home at 10 o'clock. So I'd already entered 10 o'clock at some point and it remembered it. So I'm just going to click on that to save myself some time. So I actually worked from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I was scheduled to work until 12 p.m. and I verified that I had enough sick leave to claim the full shift. So I'm going to go back to the timesheet and come back in to the same day, but now I'm down on the sick hourly line. So I'm going to enter my hours, and again I can see that recapped up at the top. So I started being sick from 10 a.m. and then my shift was supposed to end at 12 p.m. and I was out sick that entire time. So I will save my change, and so I'm reporting that I was sick for 2 hours. So I go back to the timesheet, and now I see I worked 1 hour and I'm claiming 2 hours of sick leave for a total of 3 hours. Let's say the next day you were still feeling ill, but you were not able to make it in and you were scheduled to work. You can come in directly to the sick hourly time, and provided that you have enough sick leave, you can record your sick hours for that time frame that you were supposed to work. Let's say you only had a portion of hours available. You can also record that as well. So I'll show you both options. I was scheduled to come in at 1 p.m. and I was scheduled to leave at 3 p.m. and I did have enough available sick leave, so I can claim that whole time. If I was not able, let's say I did not have 2 hours, I only had 1 hour, and I was scheduled to work from 1 to 3 p.m., I can say I am going to claim 1 hour of sick leave, so from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. I'll save that, and I'm going to just claim 1 hour because that's all I have left on my sick leave balance at this point. So I'll go back to the timesheet, and now I see for Thursday I have 1 hour of sick leave that I'm requesting. The timesheet will keep track of all of the time that you're reporting over the entire time period. So across each week from July 11th through August 10th, it's calculating the total hours that have been reported. That's 16 up to this point. And I'm requesting a total of 8.5 hours of sick leave. At the end of your pay period, you're going to want to go back through and review each week that you've recorded time and verify that it is correct. So you can go previous and next to advance through each week of the time period and review your hours. So once you get to the end of that time frame, it'll give you your final allotment of hours worked and your sick leave. If you need to go in and make any adjustments, you can locate the date in which you would like to make an adjustment and enter that time. So if I go back to the first week of the pay cycle, each one of these where it has an hour marked is hyperlinked. So I can click on that, come back into the timesheet, and make any adjustments that I need to make. I'll save the changes and go back to the timesheet. Now that I'm ready, I've reviewed everything, and I feel that my timesheet reflects the accurate record of time worked for this period. I'm ready to submit it for approval. So I submit for approval and I see a confirmation that it was submitted on August 2nd. I also see up here that it says my timesheet was submitted successfully and who it's going to for approval. Once your timesheet is routed to your supervisor for approval, she or he will review it for accuracy. It's possible that they may follow up and ask you to make an adjustment or correction. They'll let you know if the timesheet is returned to you to take action. So once you log in, you're going to locate the timesheet that needs correction, and you'll see a notification here. On both of these I have returned for correction. I'm going to go in and I want to review the comment to see what I might need to make a change on or have a discussion with my supervisor. So my supervisor indicates, please confirm the time that you ended your shift on 7/17. I show that you requested to leave early at 12 o'clock. So at this point, I need to go back into my timesheet and review the time that I reported and check my personal records to see if that's true, or if I need to have a conversation with my supervisor about maybe an adjustment to be made. So I'll click on previous menu, and I'm going to locate July 17th. I'll click on the hours that I reported. And okay, so it looks like I started my shift at 8:15 and I showed that I left at 12:30. I think I remember sending an email to my supervisor asking if I could leave early that day. So I'll go check my records and see if in fact that was the same day. It looks like it is, so I'm going to come in and adjust my time back to 12 o'clock. I'll save the change, and then that updates my hours to 3.75. I'll go back to my timesheet, and it looks like that was the only correction that was needed. So now I can submit it back for approval. Given that there's a very short window of time frame in which you have to submit your timesheet and your supervisor has to review and approve it, you're going to want to take immediate action when your timesheet has been returned to you. Don't let it sit for a couple days, because at that point you will have missed the time period to get paid according to the payroll schedule.